Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Victory! All that pressure that Uvalde parents put on the school district to demand accountability from its police officers worked.
Yeah, the entire police force for the Uvalde School District has been suspended. 2 district officials are on administrative leave tonight.
Alicia Barrera is in Uvalde outside the school district offices where parents had been protesting since last week.
They protested a total of 10 days, some even sleeping out here. And today, a lot of the parents were still outside when the school district made the announcement of suspending the entire police force. However, they found out the same way that we did, through a statement. In that statement, it's announced the entire police force is suspended and will take on other duties. And the school district says Lieutenant Miguel Mike Hernandez and Ken Mueller have been placed on administrative leave. Mueller served as the director of student services and retired after being put on leave. And Lieutenant Hernandez was aware that the recently hired officer, Crimson Elizondo, was being investigated by DPS. I spoke to Eva Dulia Horta today. She's Rogelio Torres' mom, and she says this is a step in the right direction and it does help her in her healing process.
Exciting. We're happy it happened, but the way they did it, that's what we didn't like. I didn't like the way they did it to with the family, not to talk face to face. They're not doing their job. They say they were going to do it. They hired a cop that was there that day and they said they wouldn't, and they did.
According to that email, Harold will meet with school district trustees on Monday evening to explore retirement plans and transition options. However, no timeline has been given for that. In Uvalde, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Now to an update on the case of a San Antonio Police Department officer opening fire on a teenager in a McDonald's parking lot. Charges against the 17-year-old in the hospital have been dropped for now. The officer who shot the teen has been fired by San Antonio Police, but still doesn't have formal charges against him. The district attorney tells us they're ready to take on the officer's case and are just waiting for SAPD to finish their investigation. Sunday evening, Officer James Brennan was at a McDonald's off Blanco for an unrelated call when he spotted 17-year-old Eric Cantu's car. Believing it was the same car that ran from him the night before, Officer Brennan opened Cantu's door, shot at him while he put the car in reverse, and as he drove away. The police chief saying all those actions were against protocol. Today, the DA announcing charges of evading arrest and aggravated assault against Cantu are dropped for the time being.
A humanitarian gesture because this young man is in critical but stable condition. There's no risk of him escaping. It's not like he can get up and run away, so that's why we've made the decision for now to dismiss this case.
District Attorney Joe Gonzalez explained contact between the teen and his family had been very limited while he fights in the hospital because before today he was technically in police custody.
And tragedy this morning. San Antonio police say that a freak accident killed a man while he slept on a sidewalk. It happened near I-10 and Wurzbach Road. Police say the driver error may not be completely to blame here. Investigators say the woman was on her way to work this morning when she took the turnaround, and they believe she hit the brakes, which then locked up, causing her to lose control of her car. Police say the car then jumped a curb and hit a man who was asleep near a pillar. He died from his injuries. Police say the woman is not facing charges at the moment, but the investigation does continue.
It's not what you want to wake up to. A man is able to escape injury after popping noises alerted him that his home was on fire. San Antonio firefighters called out to the 8600 block of South Zarzamora late last night. Fire crews say the man heard popping noises when he went to investigate. That's when he saw his home was burning. He and 3 pets made it out safely. He says fortunately 2 other family members were not home at the time. Firefighters say the home was destroyed. They went from despair to hope. 27 men and women who lived to tell their stories of sobriety. They're the Bexar County Felony Drug Court's most recent graduating class.
And our Jesse Degollado says that each one was recognized for their fight against their addictions.
To come this far, they say took more than what schools can teach. These 27 felony drug court graduates had fought life-threatening addictions, been in and out of jail, and some say they'd lost everything, even their families.
I suffered with addiction since I was very young. I was a teenager when I got on drugs, and I never thought that I would change.
That is until judges who could have sent them to prison saw their willingness to turn their lives around by agreeing to a months-long intensive program offered by Felony Drug Court.
Despite their challenges, I'm told the rearrest rate for felony drug court graduates has held steady at 10% over the past 3 years.
The reason being, says Judge Ernie Glenn,
we're not just there today and gone tomorrow. We're there for them all the time.
Each graduate, he says, had the court's commitment and support.
Giving them what they need, because lots of folks didn't have that growing up.
Alyssa is the first to say it wasn't easy, but being who she is now was well worth it.
I couldn't be the mom I am without drug court, and I wouldn't be the woman I am without him. So, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
And to all of those graduates, we're certainly rooting for you. All right, well, the clock is ticking. You see it right there. And if you plan to vote next month, you got to make sure you're registered. The deadline is October 11th, which is on Tuesday. And that's why this next event is really so perfect, because this weekend you can register by visiting one of the dozens of libraries around San Antonio. Library Director Ramiro Salazar says that libraries also play a role during elections. Listen.
Many of our libraries serve as either early voting sites or regular voting sites. So we facilitate this important role of voting in our communities.
Early voting starts October 24th. Election day is November 8th. But remember, you're going to need to be registered by Tuesday, 4 days away, if you want to vote. And there are several races to watch out for, including the race for governor, of course. Another big one is a local one. It's for Bexar County Judge. And you can see the entire ballot right now on KSAT.com.
UTSA halfway to raising $500 million for its Be Bold campaign. Tiffany Huertas explores how financial donations are already changing students' lives.
I participated in many programs with them this year.
UTSA senior Erica McFarland says the opportunities are endless at the Harvey Najum Innovation and Career Advancement Center at the main campus.
And I'm working with the company Union Pacific through career engaged learning and experiential learning opportunities.
The center offers students the opportunity to gain real world experience in the workforce through different programs. It was created in 2020 thanks to a donation given to UTSA's Be Bold, a campaign for our future. Local philanthropist and entrepreneur Harvey Najum committed $3 million to establish this center. Erica says these programs are having a big impact on her life.
They definitely contribute to my growth as a woman and as a leader.
This campaign started in 2017 and has already raised $311 million in gifts and pledges. Donations have come from philanthropists, entrepreneurs, alumni, and different companies.
These gifts are a real affirmation of the work that we're doing at the university, and they also, I think, inspire others and give people confidence that this university is worthy of significant investment and transformational gifts.
The money so far has supported student scholarships, different programs, and faculty endowments. Yesterday, the university launched the public phase of the fundraising campaign.
Many of the funds that will be created during this campaign will be here in perpetuity, so they'll continue to impact the university forever. And even immediate gifts allow us to really increase the capacity of our programs across the university.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Now we're going to take things outside right now and show you a traffic situation that you don't want to be in. This is 281 South at Loop 410 West, right near the North Star Mall. And you can see 281 South right there at the top. Not too bad. So, we would expect this at 607, but the bottom there, which is Loop 410 West, that is really slow going traffic right now. So if you are going to be headed in that direction in the next few minutes, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and if you look closely at some of those cars, you can see people sneezing inside there.
Just a little bit.
No, just a joke.
Ragweed.
But there's a lot of ragweed out there today.
Yes, ragweed was moderate today. I woke up with the stuffy nose as well. It's possible that we find some more of that into our Saturday. We've seen some high clouds filter across the area today. 83 is where we sit this 6 p.m. hour here in San Antonio, a dew point of 51, which means the majority of the returns on the radar out there today, really just maybe a few sprinkles. A lot of that evaporating before it hits the ground, but over the past 30 minutes, we've seen just a few more spots of potential sprinkles, especially here in San Antonio, working its way farther down to the south and the west. It's possible we find just a few more of those drops of rain before the day is done. Overall, don't have high hopes for a lot of us. Temperatures in the low 80s here over the next few hours, falling into the 70s later tonight. Coming up, we're going to have a full look at that weekend forecast. Not looking too bad here in San Antonio. Also a look at what we could find in the sky over the next 72 hours and the potential for a front late next week. Those details in a bit.
Thank you, Mia. Coming up next, the dance filled with color and drama that tells the story of hope, survival, and the strength of the Mexican culture throughout the centuries. How a weekend seminar is aiming to ensure the history of folklorico continues to be told. It's coming up. If you've driven through this area in the last year or so, you're probably asking the same question. When will the construction finally come to an end? It's what neighbors and businesses along the St. Mary's Strip are asking the city. The answer officials gave this crowd. And what's next? Tonight on the Night Beat. Connecting with Mexican culture through the art of dance and music. That's the idea behind a symposium this weekend on the city's west side.
RJ Marquez takes us inside the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center to show us how the centuries-old folklorico dance is capturing the attention of new generations.
Being on stage is one of the most wonderful things. Just the adrenaline, being able to express your culture.
Connie Espinosa has been dancing for years. She joined the Guadalupe Dance Company when she was just 11 years old and now teaches the art of storytelling through traditional folklorico.
Even if it's just a simple Jalisco, being able to tell audiences like where it comes from, why mariachis are playing this type of music.
She will be part of a symposium that dives into the historical importance of the dance, dresses, and music, things that people often associate with the city of San Antonio.
Folklorico dance and mariachi music really is the reason that a lot of people come to San Antonio. You know, they know that they're going to be connected to that cultural tradition, that cultural and Mexican heritage.
Belinda Menchaca is the Director of Education at the center. She helped orchestrate this 3-day symposium that's about more than just the performances.
It really is about cultural pride and Hispanic heritage and an awareness of the rich culture that we have in our traditions.
And for Connie, that goes beyond the stage. Seeing her students soak in la cultura is an instant reward.
Because some of them did tell me, oh, Miss Connie, we saw a show over the summer and we thought of you and I wanted to get up there and dance, or I bought a book or something and it had a folklorico dancer. Like they're starting to like see things that connect with dance and with the Mexican culture. So I think that that's one of the most wonderful things that I've seen.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
It's beautiful. And the symposium continues through this weekend and tickets are going fast. If you're interested in going, you could visit the box office at the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center.
All right, it's only 82 degrees out there. I love that we have a forecast where no temperatures are in the 90s.
This is true.
Yes. Isn't it refreshing?
Yes.
Well, especially considering that it's October.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, let's try and continue that fall feel as we continue through the fall months. Yes, today not too bad out there in terms of our temperatures because of those high clouds that we've had filtering in from the southwest throughout the last day of the work week. Let's take a look briefly at the radar out there. For you can see we do still have some returns out there, especially farther off to the south as well as the west, closer to the Rio Grande, all of that moving up to the northeast. We even have seen a few spots of green here in Bexar County develop over the past 30 minutes. Again, we still do have those lower humidity values and drier air in place here at the surface, so a lot of that elevated moisture is likely evaporating before it reaches the ground, but we have had some reports of some sprinkles out there this Friday, and I do think it's possible that we're finding some some of that out there this hour, and we'll keep that very isolated chance going here into the evening. But as we take a look at the satellite, yes, those mid and upper level clouds still streaming in from the southwest. That has been the culprit behind these slightly cooler temperatures out there this Friday. For most of us, we were only able to climb into the low to mid 80s, so not a bad way to end the work week. 83 officially over at the airport this hour here in San Antonio, 81 in Bulverde, as well as out in Rio Medina, 84 in Hondo. It's 81 up at the Los Maples area as well. So if you're stepping out for any of those evening plans, temperature wise, not bad out there. I do want to briefly mention we've got an ISS flyover today. Really this evening, visibility starts at about 7:45 p.m. It's not bad considering the maximum height that it is expected to climb into the sky at about 82 degrees. But the problem is that we have those high clouds in place, so we likely will not be able to see that. Just something cool that is still going to happen across the south central Texas sky. Now, as we take a look at the bigger picture here across the eastern reaches of the lower 48 this Friday evening, there is a front that stretches all the way into North Texas. Take a look at temperatures behind this boundary. It's 51 in Cleveland this hour, 50 over in Chicago, 55 currently in Omaha. And really take a look at this. All of this blue that you see, a mixture of freeze warnings, frost advisories, and even freeze watches that are in place this evening and heading into the overnight hours for the Ohio River Valley, stretching over to the Great Lakes region, even across the upper Midwest. Morning lows by Saturday morning expected to drop into the 30s and 40s. I can't even remember what that feels like. It is going to be a very cold morning for our friends well up to the north. A totally different story here in South Texas, but close to average in San Antonio. We are expected to wake up to temperatures in the 60s for the majority of the region. A few upper 50s possible, especially across portions of the hill country by wake up time tomorrow. 66 here in San Antonio as well as Pleasanton, also down in Cotulla as well. 62 in Bulverde, 66 in Castroville, and 64 in Divine if you're stepping out for any early Saturday morning plans. Now, I do think we'll find more peaks of sunshine throughout the day tomorrow compared to what we saw out there today. So temperatures warm because of that, mid 80s by lunchtime, mid to upper 80s in store, a few 90s possible tomorrow afternoon, especially the farther south that you go. 90 possible tomorrow afternoon in Beeville. Really more of the same is expected as we head into the second half of the weekend. Morning 60s transitioning to the upper 80s here in town. Also Sunday night, partly cloudy skies, so better chances to view the full Hunter's moon that is expected to officially become full at 3:55 p.m. here in Texas, but our moonrise isn't until 7:19. So if you want late Sunday, you could head outside and see if you can't find that big bright moon out there on the eastern horizon. Now, as we head into next week, a slight uptick in humidity, but by the later portions of next week, that's when we have the potential to find a cold front make its way into the area. That could send in some drier air by this time next week, so that makes it more comfortable with some cooler mornings and also a slightly better chance for rain, which is great.
Yeah,
Yes, we need that.
We definitely need the rain.
Mia, thank you.
All right, let's head on the big game road trip.
Yes.
Let's go to Poth right now, where our friend Larry Ramirez stands by. They haven't, inflated the pirate ship or whatever that is behind you, Larry, but there's a big game there tonight.
Yes, it is homecoming for the Poth Pirates, and it is also a district contest against South San West Campus. The Cougars here in town for this 15-3A2 contest, and I'm telling you what, Poth is one of the top 3A teams in the state, so we'll get to see that tonight. And in volleyball, Harlan is closing in on a playoff spot with just 5 matches left in the regular season coming up.
I just want to leave momentum for the program, and hopefully we leave our legacy and they leave theirs after they leave. We're just another class, and hopefully we help build this program up.
Poth Pirates quarterback Zane Robbie will get another chance tonight to build up this already very good program as they chase greatness in big board sports. Good evening, everybody, and welcome live to Poth, where tonight the Poth Pirates will host the South San West Campus Cougars in a district football contest. And the Pirates are very pumped up because they want to put on a show for their homecoming crowd. You know it's going to be jam-packed here tonight. Led by head coach Jeff Luna, the Pirates are 4-1 overall this season, 1-0 in district. The Pirates' only loss so far this season was back in Week 3, 22-21 at Shiner, when the Comanches scored on a 2-point conversion for the win. The Pirates gained a lot of confidence that night, and they all believe they should have won that game. The Pirates are ranked 7th in the state in Class 3A Division II by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. They opened district play 2 weeks ago, winning at Dilly 56-6, and then last week they enjoyed a bye at the midpoint of their regular season.
You know, we worried about ourselves. You know, we got some really tough district opponents coming up, but we talked about during the bye week, let's get better as a Poth Pirate football team. And so a lot of fundamentals, a lot of healing up a little bit of injuries, and then obviously just trying to play fast and get back to being who we are.
We healed up and took advantage of the break, focused on ourselves a little bit, and improved individually.
Do you feel the bye week came at a good time this year?
I think it did because it allowed us one game into district to, look at our opponents, look at how we are as a team heading into this district. We're shooting for a district championship, so it was good to have it in the beginning.
West Campus comes to town 0-6 overall and 0-2 in District 15-3A D2. After 2 years at the JV level, and that first one was cut short due to COVID, they only played 2 games. The Cougars are fielding a varsity football team for the first time since 2007. Their record may not show it, but the Cougars are getting better each and every week.
We're going to treat West Campus just like we treat every other team, and we're going to take game by game and hopefully we come out on top.
You know, West Campus is obviously a startup program. They're a squad that doesn't have any seniors. You know, those kids play hard. Their coaching staff does a really good job preparing them week in and week out, and obviously that they've gotten better throughout the course of the season. Right now they are winless, but that doesn't tell the type of football team they are. So we expect them to come in here and give us everything we can handle.
Like Zane said, we're going to treat it like every other game. They're an opponent that we have to beat. We have to go 1-0 each week to be the champions, so that's what we're trying to do.
Here's the Week 6 road trip. Yorktown and Falls City, West Campus at Poth, and Beeville, Floresville. All 3 are district matchups. Highlights on the night beat and BigGameCoverage.com. All right, we have 10 games scheduled to stream tonight via the BGC app, including New Braunfels versus Steele and the Kennedy Rockets at Somerset, just to name 2. Please scan the QR code on your screen to get the schedule. In high school volleyball, the Harlan Hawks have put themselves in the driver's seat for the second playoff position out of District 29 6A with a 3-set sweep of Warren Tuesday night. The Hawks started the second round of their district schedule last Friday night with a 5-set loss to undefeated O'Connor. But Harlan was swept by the Panthers in their first meeting, meaning the Hawks showed a lot of improvement in round 2. That performance helped the Hawks defeat the Warriors on Tuesday.
By playing O'Connor so much more confidently, it's giving us a lot more confidence going into these other teams, just because O'Connor's a really tough opponent, and I think we play them really, really well.
The Hawks next take on Stevens tonight at Paul Taylor Fieldhouse, and that match started at 5:30 p.m. That is all from Poth for me. The Pirates are out on the field warming up, and I will see you guys live tonight when I'm in Floresville.
All right, have a great road trip, Larry.
All right, thank you. So after the break, you're going to see how a local theater is tackling children's issues, but also helping adults. Our KSAT Q&A up next.
All right, who says you can't teach and entertain at the same time? That's the goal with the Magic Theater at Hemisphere. It's kicking off a new season with programs that raise awareness about issues that kids face.
One of those issues is dyslexia. And joining us now live to talk about that is Jasmine Dean. She's CEO of Celebrate Dyslexia, and she's also on the board at Magic. All right, so thank you so much for joining us today. We want to talk about the play Eddie and Vinny that you're showing soon. What is that story about?
We are thrilled to be talking about Eddie and Vinny. It's an original production in collaboration with Celebrate Dyslexia and the Magic Theater, all about a child with dyslexia who is dealing with a day in, day out struggle of wanting to be seen for what he is, super smart, but unable to truly show that in a traditional way because dyslexia really affects reading, writing, and spelling. And most of the time in school, that is what we are grading. So it is an opportunity to really build a community and spark this conversation and this dialogue with this issue that really affects 1 in 5 people. So there are a lot more people out there that are really struggling with this that have never had the opportunity to find community.
That's such a great point. It's an important conversation to have. It does affect so many people. I think a lot of kids feel like they're alone when they're dyslexic. But how are you also teaching adults to deal with children with dyslexia?
Well, the wonderful thing is this transcends any age group because dyslexia is hereditary. So a lot of times parents have struggled with this, grandparents have struggled with this, but never had an opportunity to really put all of the pieces together. So few are ever identified with dyslexia. So it allows everyone this opportunity to have an honest conversation, but also learn that it is a hallmark of being smart. You wouldn't be dyslexic if you weren't smart. And that's one of the paradoxes of dyslexia. It's an unexpected difficulty with reading, writing, and spelling.
You in particular can talk about this because you're CEO of Celebrate Dyslexia. So can we just take a step back for a moment, talk about dyslexia, but also recognizing the signs?
Absolutely. That is one of the things that we love to talk about because it's so important to have early identification. What we know is that if a child doesn't get what they need by the age of 9 in terms of identification and proper interventions, they most likely will never read at grade level. So we are really trying to communicate to educate our community about the importance of if your child is struggling with spelling, if they're struggling with fluency, struggling with reading, but they have so many other strengths, it very well could be dyslexia. And the earlier the identification, the better. It is a myth that they can grow out of it or develop out of it. Earliest identification is crucial for those interventions to truly be effective.
But how do you identify that? Is it when you notice, do they spell a certain way? Do they misspell words a certain way? How do teachers and parents figure out if their child is struggling with this?
So in the state of Texas now, in kindergarten and first grade, there are screeners that take place. So it's really important to pay attention to what those screeners are. Teachers really are on the ground zero of this conversation because they know what those progress measures are that children should be meeting. So if they see repeated errors in spelling, phonetic spelling, if they see that the kids are really avoiding reading and just really struggling in this area, recommending evaluation for dyslexia is really important. The great thing is that schools will evaluate for dyslexia, but it has to be explicitly requested by the parent.
Well, that's my next question, Jasmine. Is dyslexia going undiagnosed an issue?
Very much so. So we know statistically that 1 in 5 people have dyslexia. But if we look at reports, for example, from the Texas Education Agency in Region 20, which is the area that we are in, Bexar County and the surrounding area, 4.9% of the students are identified. So that means we have a long way to go before we really have all of those students identified and receiving the services that they need to become functionally literate as they go through school.
And they deserve those services. And it's just a shame because a lot of what happens, unfortunately, is that children, as you say, some of them want to avoid reading. They might be afraid of being bullied in class. And that's just tragic because it has nothing to do with their intelligence. They just need help.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So if we're not identifying, we are effectively putting the handcuffs on our children through their education. When you think about the age of 9, that's typically 3rd grade. So from 3rd grade on, and we're struggling with reading, there really aren't any classes that don't involve reading moving forward. So it really is such an important issue and such an important topic to get out there and destigmatize that it seems like your student isn't trying hard enough. It seems like they might not be smart, but it's actually quite the opposite. Their brains are on fifth gear all day long as they've unzipped all of their vulnerabilities, crossing that threshold into the school building. And they just need to be taught in a different way how to read than what is being taught right now. But once they learn how to read and learn how to remove those barriers from written text, they'll thrive in school.
Jasmine Dean, thank you so much for your time. You're obviously the CEO of Celebrate Dyslexia, on the board at the Magic Theater. Now, if people want to know about other shows that are out there, obviously, you know, Eddie and Vinny, an important show. If they want to learn about other shows that the Magic Theater has coming out this season, give me the website for the Magic Theater.
It's magictheater.org. I highly recommend it. It is such a lovely time for the family to go out and have an experience that they can carry with them and talk about after they have that experience and just make a part of their common language at home.
Yeah, Magic Theater, MAGIK.
Yes.
For
Correct.
Magic Theater. So I just want to make sure people at home know that.
Correct.
All right, Jasmine Dean, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. We have a live picture here on 410 near the airport right now, 81 degrees. And, you know, it looks super overcast. And here's the thing. I don't think we're getting rain here.
Right.
But in lots of other areas we are.
So in a couple,
Maybe rain's a stretch.
Some sprinkles,
Okay.
some light rain is
Yeah.
certainly possible. We have seen a few more hits out there on the radar, especially across our far southwestern counties. We can show you that very briefly. A lot of that is going to continue moving farther up to the north as well as the east. We'll see how long that can hold on. For most of us, though, we will likely stay dry into those evening plans as we gear up for the upcoming weekend. Not a whole lot going on out there, but we will have a full look at that weekend forecast, plus a check at the tropics in a few.
All right, I love this story. A line cook at a pizza shop in Minot, North Dakota, now an offensive lineman for the New England Patriots. Sebastian Gutierrez took the job at the pizza spot as he worked towards a career in the NFL. Just so happens his new job, a dream for him. Minot State recruited the 6'6" athlete to be an offensive lineman. Gutierrez was waived by the Denver Broncos earlier this year.
But then on Wednesday, the Patriots signed him. His co-workers at the pizza restaurant say that they're proud of Sebastian and his work ethic, and they just know that he's going to be a success both on and off the field. I love that work ethic, too.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Also in the buzz, Lindsay Lohan will be home for Christmas, at least on screen. The actress who hasn't had a leading role in a major film in close to a decade, starring in Falling for Christmas. The Netflix movie has Lohan portraying a recently engaged hotel heiress who suffers from amnesia following a skiing accident.
And as you probably guessed, Lohan's character starts to fall for the man who's helping her recover. And apparently he gives her a really big rock. Now, Lohan...
I think that's the other guy.
Or some other... Oh, there you go. Now, Lohan not only acts, but she also sings a version of Jingle Bell Rock in the rom-com. Falling for Christmas is the first of a 3-picture deal that Lohan has with Netflix. A Latina-owned flower shop in Arizona going viral as it makes a big name for itself with, look at that. Look at those bouquets. Amazing. They are massive floral creations. Joana Jacobo is the owner of Floreria Mi Sueño, which is in West Phoenix.
Yeah, the flower shop has thousands of online followers, even some celebrity customers. They are known for making uniquely designed bouquets. Jacobo, her skills have led to her working with international artists. She's had so much success, she's opening up a second shop.
Good. That's awesome.
Those are beautiful, too.
Right?
I know, and unique.
Yes.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Good for her.
You know what was also stunning today?
Tell us.
Those temperatures.
Yes.
It didn't
Very
feel
nice.
too bad when you stepped outside today, all thanks to those high clouds. Yes, a nice way to wrap up the work week, but I do wish that we would have been able to find at least a little bit more rain since we do need it. Let's take a time-lapse view, though. Outside from our live cam from this morning through the afternoon, you can really just see a whole lot of those high clouds out there. Still do have those in place this evening, but that is why those temperatures were just a little bit more comfortable out there this afternoon. For most of us, we only were able to climb into the low to mid 80s, so not bad. This is where we sit here this 6 p.m. hour. 83 in San Antonio. If you're fixing to step out for any of those Friday evening plans, it's 84 in Hondo, 75 up in Rock Springs, 80 in Kerrville, and 84 up in New Braunfels. Again, we still do have some of that slightly drier air in place here at the surface, especially in the central portions of the area and stretching up into the hill country. This is a look at our dew points, which is how we measure that low level moisture in the atmosphere. A few 40s farther up to the north and the west, and then for the rest of us, pretty much in the 50s. So still dry and into that pleasant range, which is why, even though we have seen some elevated moisture out there return here on the radar, we do have a few spots out there, especially in our far southwestern counties. A lot of that today has unfortunately been evaporating before it reaches the surface, thanks to that dry pocket of air here at the ground. But still, we have managed to find a few sprinkles out there and a few patches of light rain. That activity is moving farther up to the northeast. I think most of us will probably miss out before the day is done. But if you do find a few sprinkles, consider yourself lucky, even though it's not going to help us out with the drought conditions, unfortunately. A little bit of a different story, though, farther up to our north here this Friday evening. More scattered to even widespread rain across parts of the Texas Panhandle as a weak front moves into North Texas. Now, I think it's possible that we see that front try to dip its toes into parts of our area by the time the day is done tomorrow. It's not really going to do anything for our temperatures. Maybe a few wind gusts upwards of 15 to 20 miles per hour out of the northeast tomorrow, and just a little bit more of that drier air in place tomorrow afternoon. So 89 will feel like 89 instead of the low to mid 90s. So that is the good news there. In terms of your weekend forecast, not a whole lot going on. I do think we will find more peaks of sunshine out there tomorrow and into Sunday compared to what we saw out there today. The general theme here in San Antonio being some morning 60s flipping around to the upper 80s each afternoon. So here's wake up time for your Saturday for most here near the San Antonio metro. We will wake up to those temperatures in the 60s, pretty similar to what we found out there this morning. A few upper 50s possible, especially farther up to the northwest in portions of the hill country. 66 in San Antonio, 64 out in Castroville. As we head into the early morning hours, those temperatures rise into the 70s. We're in the low to mid 80s if you're stepping out for any of those lunchtime plans. And then we continue to see those temperatures climb into the mid to upper 80s for most by tomorrow afternoon. Slightly warmer than average for this time of year. Here's a quick check at the tropics. Yesterday, we were talking about that system in the Caribbean, potential tropical cyclone 13. A lot of words. Essentially, that was a system that hadn't yet defined a low-level center of circulation. Well, it has done that over the past 24 hours. So now this is Tropical Storm Julia. This is the latest advisory that just came in a little bit early from the National Hurricane Center. It is moving to the west at about 18 miles per hour. It is expected to continue that westward track here into the upcoming weekend, making landfall potentially as a Category 1 hurricane in Central America. This is of no concern for us here in the state of Texas. Of course, we will continue to keep eyes on it. Until then, not a bad weekend, a quiet start next week, and then potentially a front by Wednesday and Thursday, which could spark up a few more rain chances and then push in some drier air by this time next week.
Yeah, 10% went up to 30%.
Not bad.
Yeah, we'll take it. Thank you.
In case you missed it, coming up next.
It's Friday, October 7th.
Investigators believe the woman living there started the fire on purpose. Firefighters say that she was about to be evicted from the home. Now, the bulk of that fire started behind the home on Brighton Avenue. Now, firefighters weren't just dealing with flames when they got there. They were also dealing with ammunition that was popping as they were fighting that fire.
A man in the hospital after a night out with friends. Police say he was shot. They don't know who the gunman was. This was near Loop 410 and Evers Road early this morning. The victim sent a text to his girlfriend saying he just got to the couple's apartment. Soon after, the woman says she heard arguing and gunshots. When she opened the door, she says her boyfriend fell inside the apartment and the victim rushed to the hospital in critical condition.
The Washington Post is reporting that federal agents believe they have enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with tax crimes and lying on a federal form when he purchased a gun. The Post is citing anonymous sources. It says the president's son's case has now moved one step closer to a potential conclusion. The Post says U.S. attorney in Delaware is set to decide whether to proceed.
According to CandyStore.com, Texans love Starburst, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Sour Patch Kids.
Nationwide, the most popular Halloween candy, that was Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Walt Clemens, the leader of Spokane Valley Summit School, made a wager. If students and their parents could raise $50,000 for the school, he'd spend the day on top of the building. Now, that apparently was too good to resist, as $60,000 was collected. Clemens kept his word, and on Tuesday, he had a sky-high view of his campus.
All right, before we go, we want to give you an idea as to what the situation is like outside. If you're planning to head out, here's I-10 at Frio that's coming into the downtown area. Yeah, okay, so traffic, it's a little busy out there, but not too bad. At least traffic is steadily moving.
Yeah, let's check out another spot right now. This is Loop 410 at Broadway. You can see a stalled vehicle there, but not causing any major backups.
And we have one more to show you. There we go. 281 at Bass.
It's the southbound lanes that you see are backing up there a little bit. The northbound lanes actually seem to be moving along
just fine.
Yeah, pretty smoothly. People out and about on this Friday.
Indeed. And for most, a lot of us not having any issues out there. Again, a few sprinkles still out there in LaSalle and Dimmitt counties. We're pretty quiet out there this weekend. And then we have a few rain chances Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
All right, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back here on the Night Feed.
See you at 10.
See you.